There is a language the universe cannot ignore, a tone so precise, a vibration so pure, that the very fabric of reality bends at its whisper. This audiobook reveals that language. It is not force that manifests dreams but resonance, not struggle but alignment. You were never meant to chase. You were meant to speak and be heard by the infinite. In the quantum whisper, you will discover the exact frequency that causes the universe to obey not later, but now. By the end of this journey, you won't just wish, you will command. You won't just visualize, you will vibrate the very essence of truth into form. And life will mirror back your silent certainty like an echo from eternity. Introduction: the voice that moves worlds. In every moment, whether in silence or sound, you are speaking to the universe. Every word, every thought, every intention is a broadcast. But most speak in static, unclear, uncertain, ungrounded. They plead, they hope, they pray, they speak, but not from the center, not from power. And the universe listens but to energy, not to noise. What if there was a way to speak in a language the universe was wired to understand? A sacred code carried not in syllables, but in frequency, not from your mouth, but from your being. This is not the law of attraction as you know it. This is the law of certainty, the law of resonance, the law of embodiment, where speech is not persuasion, but power. Where every word spoken from alignment becomes a cosmic decree. You've heard that words create, but this audiobook will show you how. Not just to speak, but to whisper so deeply from your core, the universe has no choice but to respond. Each chapter will awaken a deeper part of you, the silent commander, the calm voice that bends timelines, the quantum whisperer within. You will be guided through timeless techniques hidden in ancient texts, metaphysical laws cloaked in mystery, and the forgotten power of conscious declaration. This is your return to the original language, the sound before sound, the word before words. By the end of this journey, you will no longer speak from separation. You will speak as the universe. Chapter 1: The Voice That Shapes Worlds. There is a silence that lies beneath all sound, a sacred stillness humming just beyond the reach of your ears, waiting for you to remember it. And when you touch that silence with the edge of your voice, you begin to awaken something extraordinary, the quantum whisper. This is not just a metaphor, this is not poetry, it is a literal law. Your voice, your spoken declaration, vibrates through the unseen layers of creation and compels reality to take shape in obedience. Not because you're lucky, not because you've earned it, but because you are the architect of worlds and you have forgotten the authority you possess. The ancients knew it, the mystics whispered it, the sages lived by it. Your words are spells, and your voice is a wand. Every phrase you utter sends ripples into the quantum field, the invisible tapestry where all possibilities rest in waiting. But most have learned to speak passively, reactively, without precision or power. We've spoken wishes rather than commands, prayers filled with doubt, affirmations cloaked in desperation. And so the field reflects not our desires, but our uncertainty. But yes, you are about to change that. You're about to re-enter the divine role you were born for. The universe listens not to begging, but to command. And command does not mean arrogance, it means resonance. It means becoming a vibrational match to the reality you wish to experience. When you speak from that level of alignment, from that calm, unwavering center where you know the world obeys you, as effortlessly as shadows respond to light. That is the sacred power of the quantum whisper. It begins not with shouting, not with effort, not with struggle, but with stillness, with attunement, like the tuning of an ancient harp that has been silent too long. You do not need to be loud to be powerful. You do not need to be dramatic to be heard. You need only to be aligned. Every whisper spoken from the seat of divine truth carries more force than 1,000 roars from the mouth of fear. The field, the quantum substrate of existence, does not care about your hopes. It does not respond to your wishes. It mirrors only your truth, the truth beneath your voice, the truth you are. If you say, "I am abundant," but feel unworthy, the universe hears the vibration of unworthiness. If you say, "I am healed," but secretly believe in brokenness, the field organizes itself around that hidden fracture. This is why your words must be born not from performance, but from presence. Not from ambition, but from certainty. So, the first step before all rituals, before all affirmations, is to come home to yourself, to the version of you that already is. Because the quantum field contains all versions of you simultaneously. The wealthy you, the healed you, the radiant, fearless, limitless you. And your words are the selector, the remote control, tuning you to one version over all others. When you speak as that version, the universe can no longer pretend not to know you. It must recognize you. And in recognizing you, it must respond. Imagine walking into a room filled with mirrors. Each mirror shows a different you. You glance quickly, catching fragmented glimpses. But then you stop. You stare. You lock eyes with the one reflection that speaks to your soul. You say, "Yes, that's me." And in that moment of choice, every other version fades. That's what speech does in the quantum. It selects. It stabilizes. It collapses infinite possibilities into one concrete reality. This is not imagination. This is physics. Quantum mechanics has shown that observation collapses probability waves into form. But what is more powerful than observation? Declaration. To observe is passive. To speak is creative. You are not merely the observer. You are the artist, the engineer, the lawmaker. When you speak from the throne of alignment, reality kneels. And so I ask you, what are you declaring today? Not with your voice alone, but with your entire frequency. Are you whispering chaos or clarity? Are you reinforcing limitation or liberation? The universe has no opinion. It only reflects. Like water holds the shape of whatever vessel it is poured into, reality conforms to the blueprint of your inner state. And your inner state is always broadcast through your words, through the whisper behind the whisper. Let's begin to practice, not with frantic affirmations, but with sacred, intentional breath. Inhale not as a mortal needing air, but as a soul drawing in eternity. Exhale not just to release carbon dioxide, but to speak life. Place your hand over your heart, close your eyes, and say aloud, "I am here now. I am the Creator. I remember." Feel how those words land in your body, not just in your mind, in your bones, in your field, in your being. This is the tone the universe understands, the frequency it follows, the whisper that carries the weight of all creation. As we continue, we'll go deeper into the mechanics, the rituals, the mental shifts, the alignment techniques. But never forget, none of it matters unless you embody the voice, your voice, the true voice, the one that commands not by volume, but by vibration. Because when the quantum hears your whisper and your whisper matches your truth, reality must obey. Chapter 2. The frequency behind every word. You have likely spoken countless words in your life, thousands upon thousands, words of desire, of pain, of praise, words muttered under breath, screamed in frustration, whispered in hope. But have you ever truly felt the frequency behind them? Have you considered that it is not the word itself, but the energy riding beneath it, that alters the shape of reality? The spoken word, dear listener, is not just sounded as vibration sculpting the unseen. It is the brush of your intention dipping into the paint of the quantum field, coloring the canvas of your world. In the ancient temples, initiates were taught that the power of speech was not a gift to be taken lightly. In many traditions, the original act of creation was not done with the hand, but with the voice. "Let there be light," echoed, not just in scripture, but in the very atoms of our being. When you speak, you are either commanding or reacting. And most people, without knowing, speak only in reaction. They echo the chaos, amplify the fear, and accidentally manifest what they dread most. This chapter is about breaking that cycle. It is about reclaiming your voice as the scepter of divine command. It begins with silence. Not the absence of sound, but the presence of listening. Before the masters ever spoke a word, they listened to the energetic field within and around them. They attuned to the current of the universe, and only then, only in perfect alignment, did they speak. What would happen if you paused before every word? If you measured not the cleverness of your sentence, but the vibration it carried? You would become a living frequency of power. A whisper would become a storm. A sentence would bend the air. Let us go deeper. You see, your subconscious hears every word you say, not as metaphor, but as instruction. When you say, "I can't afford this," your subconscious locks the door to abundance. When you say, "I am unlucky," it steers your reality to ensure you're correct. The subconscious is not philosophical, it is obedient. It does not weigh right or wrong. It simply follows the vibration embedded in your language. Here is the secret the ancients knew. The subconscious is a mirror, and your words are the chisel that shapes the glass. Say something often enough, and it becomes your reflection. Speak it with emotion, and the transformation happens even faster. The universe listens not to your requests, but to your declarations, not to your wishes, but to your certainties. And the most powerful certainties are often spoken casually, unconsciously. So now, you must become conscious. There is a practice, known among the mystics, called word weaving. It is the sacred art of speaking only what you wish to see. Imagine waking up and speaking only that which is aligned with your divine vision. I am magnetizing all that I desire. Every step I take is divinely guided. Wealth flows to me like air. And you don't just say it, you feel it. You infuse it with your breath, your conviction. You whisper it not to the world, but to the fabric of reality itself. You might ask, but isn't that lying to myself if it's not yet true? And the answer is profound. Your words do not describe your truth, they create it. The universe doesn't ask if your words are factually accurate, responds to whether they are vibrationally resonant. If you say, "I am wealthy," with the vibration of lack, the universe hears the lack. If you say, "I am powerful," but doubt yourself, the universe mirrors the doubt. The key is not just in saying it, is in becoming the frequency of the thing you speak. Pause here. Let this settle. Think of the most powerful sentence you say to yourself each day. Is it a sentence that builds or breaks? Are you planting spells or curses with your casual speech? Because every word is a spell. That is why we call it spelling. The question is, are you casting spells of limitation or liberation? Let us anchor this chapter with a sacred practice, a ritual of vibrational speech. Each morning, before touching your phone, before checking the world outside, speak 3 power sentences aloud. Whisper them with reverence. Say them with presence. But more importantly, feel them as already true. Let every cell align with them. Here are 3 to begin with. I am the architect of reality, and my words shape worlds. Every whisper I speak becomes a roar in the universe. I do not request, I declare, and it becomes. Repeat these not as affirmations but as activation, as spells cast by the Creator that you are. Feel your voice carry weight, authority, and sacred intent. The next time you catch yourself saying, "I can't," "I'm stuck," or "it never works out," pause. Replace the spell. Say, "I am learning to command my reality." Say, "Everything is rearranging in my favor." Say, "I now speak only what I wish to see." You are not here to echo the noise of the world. You are here to broadcast the symphony of your soul, and that music begins with the words you choose. In this chapter, you have remembered that your voice is a vibration, and vibration is the blueprint of matter. You now understand that casual speech is not casual, it is creative. You now carry the responsibility of knowing what you say, you become. What you affirm, you call forth. What you whisper, the universe listens to. So speak not just as a person but as a portal, and reality will begin to form around the sound of your soul. Chapter 3. The Language of Light. How your voice becomes the blueprint of reality. There is a moment in every soul's journey where silence becomes unbearable, no because the world is loud, but because the whisper of your potential begins to thunder inside your chest. That moment is sacred. That moment is now. For in the space between silence and speech exists the birthplace of worlds. The ancients knew this. They etched it into temple walls, inscribed it into scrolls, passed it in whispers from one awakened heart to another. Not every sound is heard by the ears, and not every voice belongs to the throat. There is a frequency behind your words, behind your thoughts, that the universe cannot ignore. A resonance that shapes and reshapes reality in your image. That frequency is what we now call the quantum whisper. When you speak from this place, your voice is no longer a vibration of flesh, and air it is a carrier wave of the divine, a blueprint etched in light. Not light as you know it, but light as consciousness. The same light that flared at the beginning of time now waits to be shaped by your command. And when you learn how to speak from the depths of being rather than the surface of belief, mountains move, time folds, and the improbable obeys. The universe is not listening to your words, it is listening to your vibration. It hears not the desperation behind, "I want this," but the authority behind, "This is mine." It doesn't respond to hope. It responds to knowing. There is no pretending in the quantum field. You cannot trick it, you cannot fool it with rehearsed affirmations or hollow declarations. It responds with exactness to what you are in this very moment. This is why two people can speak the same words, but only one manifests what they speak. It is not the phrase, it is the frequency behind the phrase. Let us begin with the truth. You are always speaking. Even in silence, your energy is declaring something. And what you declare through your tone, posture, emotion, and attention becomes the architectural sketch the universe begins to build upon. When you complain, the universe hears, "More of this, please." When you speak with uncertainty, the quantum field echoes that wavering. When you affirm with unwavering clarity, the world reshapes to reflect your conviction. Now feel this. Every word you speak is a thread in the tapestry of your reality. When spoken with fear, your words weave fragile strands. When spoken with power, they become golden filaments strong enough to pull miracles into your life. This is not metaphor, this is mechanics. Your voice is a vibrational tool. It either creates coherence or chaos. You choose what it becomes. The moment you realize your mouth is not just for expression but for creation, everything changes. The sacred ones of old spoke rarely but potently. They understood that idle speech was a leaking of power. They trained their minds and hearts before uttering words. for they knew their voice shaped worlds. You must now remember that same reverence. You must become precise, intentional, not cautious from fear but deliberate from divinity. Start with this practice. Each morning, before the world lays its stories on your shoulders, speak your own story into existence. In a quiet place, breathe deeply and speak aloud, not to plead, not to perform, but to declare. Say only what you wish to solidify in your field. Say it as though it is already carved into the stars. Say it with no explanation, no justification, no apology. The universe is not asking why you want something. It is asking if you are ready to become the one who has it. There is no middle ground here. You either whisper as a creator or you echo as a victim. There is no shame in either, but only one builds kingdoms from dust. Your voice, when used consciously, becomes a wand, and the words you speak are the spells you cast. So what have you been casting lately? What reality have your sentences summoned? Have your I ams uplifted you into sovereignty or anchored you into smallness? Have your declarations unlocked abundance or reinforced lack? Let us shift this now. From this moment forward, let every I am you speak be a gateway to your divine identity. Let every sentence you utter be a line of code written into the matrix of creation. Let every conversation be a spell-conjuring alignment, calling in purpose, echoing worthiness. Speak like the universe is taking notes because it is. And yet, beyond these affirmations lies something even greater. Silence. The silence after the sacred declaration. That stillness between the word and the wave. This is when the universe begins its work, not while you are grasping, not while you are doubting, but when you speak and let go, when you declare and detach. The whisper is not just what you say, it is what you stop saying once you've said enough. It is the silence that tells the cosmos, it is done. Your whisper does not shout. It does not clamor. It does not perform. It simply knows. And in that knowing, the entire structure of time-space bends to obey your intent. If you are to master this, you must speak less to the world and more to the quantum. You must speak not to convince others, but to calibrate reality. You must let your words be sacred stones placed carefully on the path of your becoming. Take time today to sit in front of a mirror. Look into your own eyes. Speak your highest truth, not what you hope, but what you know deep down. Say it as if the stars were leaning in. Say it until your voice quivers with certainty, then stop. Let the silence finish your sentence and feel the shift begin. This is the quantum whisper. Not a technique, but a return. Not a performance, but a remembering. You were never meant to echo. You were meant to resonate. Chapter 4. The Power That Moves Without Sound. There is a language older than words, more potent than spells, more immediate than thought. It does not need articulation to summon storms or birth miracles. It moves in silence, yet commands the elements. It is the whisper behind creation, the breath before breath, the quantum whisper. And when you learn to speak this language, not with your mouth but with your being, the universe cannot help but respond. Not someday, not maybe, but now, always now. In the core of your being is a frequency subtle but vast, not made of noise or rhythm, but of resonance. It is what the sages called the living tone of truth. You have felt it before, in the stillness between thoughts, in the gaze of someone who sees you, in those moments when time stood still because you were perfectly, invisibly aligned with the infinite. The universe heard you then, not because you said anything, but because you became something. You matched its hum. You moved in unison. You became one with the rhythm of all things. But why does this whisper matter more than words? Because reality doesn't respond to language the way humans do. It listens not to what you say, but to what you are. And when your state of being carries a message of certainty, that message is heard across dimensions. Speak, "I am abundance," 1,000 times from a place of doubt, and nothing will change. Whisper it once, from a place of pure alignment, and the walls of limitation crumble. Imagine now a monk seated at the edge of a cliff, not speaking, not chanting, but radiating. Around him the world shifts, the winds hush, the animals still, clouds part. This is not fiction. This is energetic authority. You too have this within you, the ability to command, not through force, but through frequency. The quantum whisper is not a method, it is a remembering. A remembering that your energy speaks louder than your voice, that your beingness in its most anchored, coherent, fearless form shapes the very laws that bind the stars. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to beg or repeat endlessly. You need only become the vibration of what you seek. Feel that, not think, feel. Let your body understand it before your mind interferes. Sit with it. Let your breath carry it. Let your silence sing it. In this space, the whisper becomes thunder. But here's the secret. The quantum whisper doesn't come from effort. It arises when you drop the mask, drop the script, drop the striving. When you're no longer pretending to be powerful, but remembering that you already are, it's not a volume issue, it's a vibrational one. And the universe, despite all the noise and chaos, only responds to the pure note of truth, and truth never shouts. Try this now. Take a deep breath, and imagine your desire not as something to acquire, but as something you already carry within. Not a destination, but a frequency. Feel how it already exists in some dimension, some version of you. Now, instead of asking for it, become it. Sit in the quiet, no affirmations, no visualizations, no struggle. Just be it. Let your entire body know what it feels like to be it. You are not broadcasting a request, you are becoming the answer. This is the alchemy that changes everything. When your state declares what your mouth no longer needs to say, the universe answers not because it hears a sound, but because it detects a signal that cannot be faked or forced, only aligned with. The quantum whisper is always honest. It is the truth you've tried to bury beneath years of programming. It's the you that existed before doubt, and it's waiting to speak, to command, to shape worlds. Remember this always. The world is not shaped by loud voices. It is shaped by unwavering tones of clarity. When you become unwavering, not occasionally, but consistently, reality conforms. Not out of kindness, but out of law. Like gravity, this language does not require belief. It just is. Your only task is to return to it again and again until you become fluent in silence, until your entire presence becomes the sentence that rearranges the universe. This is the power that moves without sound. This is your whisper. Speak it not with your lips, but with your essence. Let it carry the full force of your knowing, and watch what answers. Chapter 5. The sound behind the silence. There is a sound that echoes beyond the edge of thought, not the voice you speak with, nor the noise that dances through the air, but a deeper hum, the whisper before all whispers. This is not metaphor. It is not poetry. It is quantum truth. Every single atom in your body vibrates with a signature, a frequency, a rhythm. And this rhythm, this sacred oscillation, speaks to the field of creation. Before the universe was, there was vibration. Before light, before form, before time, there was a pulse, and that pulse was a voice. Not a voice like yours or mine, but the origination of language itself, the language of resonance, This is the quantum whisper, the energy behind energy, the word before words, the sound behind silence. When you understand this, when you align yourself with this frequency, you no longer merely speak reality, you become it. You see, your words are not just sounds, they are energy codes. Every word carries with it a shape, a vibration, a blueprint that is read by the quantum field. This is why two people can say the same thing. I am wealthy, I am healed, I am loved, but receive entirely different results. The universe doesn't hear your language. It hears your frequency. It doesn't respond to your lips. It responds to your being. So what does this mean for you here now? It means that before you say a word, your body must believe it. Your cells must hum in harmony with your statement. Your breath must carry certainty, not doubt. For if the sound behind your words is fear, then fear is what the universe answers. But if the silence behind your speech is filled with knowing, then reality bends to obey. This is why the masters were silent so often. Not because they didn't know what to say, but because they understood that speech without alignment is empty. The power is not in the sentence. The power is in the state. And when the state is one of truth, the words ride upon it like royal messengers, delivering your intention to the throne of the cosmos. Close your eyes for a moment. Breathe in deeply. Can you feel it? That subtle vibration beneath your breath? That current running through your chest? That is not imagination. That is your real voice. That is the whisper that the quantum field listens to. And when you speak from that place, nothing can stand in your way. In ancient temples, initiates were trained not in speech, but in silence, in resonance, in vibration. They would sit for years, not uttering a word, until their inner sound was in perfect harmony with the universal song. And when they finally spoke, mountains moved, winds changed, reality realigned. You may think you need to talk more, say more, affirm more, chant louder, but the truth is, the power lies in speaking less and resonating more. One aligned word can do more than 1,000 hollow affirmations. One phrase, spoken from the core of your being, can rearrange your entire life. So what must you do? You must begin to listen. Listen not with your ears, but with your presence. Listen for the frequency you carry when you are not trying, when you are simply being. Do not rush to speak. Do not chase results. Instead, tune yourself like an instrument. Let your state be the song. And when you finally speak, let your words be the echo of your alignment. Practice this now. Breathe deeply. Settle into your body. Feel your feet on the ground, your spine rising like a pillar of light. Now, silently speak a word of power, something simple, something true. I am. Don't say it with your mouth. Say it with your presence. Feel how the vibration changes when it comes from stillness. That right there is the quantum whisper. That is the real invocation. That is the command creation cannot ignore. Understand this clearly. The universe does not obey noise. It obeys coherence. It obeys unity. It responds not to volume, but to purity, to clarity, to frequency. That is why a whisper from alignment shakes the world, while a scream from misalignment falls silent in the void. When you master this, you will no longer need to convince yourself, convince others, or even convince the universe. Your being will speak so loudly that reality will have no choice but to comply. You won't manifest through effort. You will manifest through inevitability. Because you are no longer trying to be the creator, you have become the vibration of creation itself. This is the secret of the sound behind the silence, the wisdom of the whisper, the truth that sages have guarded across millennia. You are not here to perform, you are here to align. And from alignment, speak. Speak not to be heard, but to be felt. Speak not to get, but to give vibration to your knowing. Speak not with hope, but with command. Because when the whisper is aligned with the field, the universe obeys instantly. Chapter 6. The Law of Resonant Identity. There is a secret the ancients knew, a truth woven into the breath of every master, every prophet, every mystic who ever shaped reality with their presence. It is this: you do not attract what you want. You do not even attract what you think. You attract what you are. This is the law of resonant identity, the great magnetic law of the inner world, the law that reshapes outer form based on inner being. You see, the quantum field does not understand desire in the way we've been taught. It doesn't interpret begging. It doesn't decode frantic affirmations. It does not answer to desperation or chase or need. It only reflects frequency. And frequency is identity, your dominant state that is your true command. The question isn't, how do I manifest? The real question is, who am I being when I speak my world into being? This law does not operate on morality. It does not reward good people and punish bad. It obeys alignment. Just as a mirror does not care who stands before it, it simply reflects, so too does the quantum field mirror the identity you carry in your core. So if you say, I am wealthy, but you carry the vibration of lack, the universe hears the vibration, not the sentence. It sees you, and it reflects back you, not your words, but your being. Not your affirmations, but your embodiment. This is why some people seem to manifest with effortless ease. It's not because they are lucky. It's not because they have better scripts. It's because they are not trying to change the mirror. They are changing what's being reflected. They are shifting identity. And when identity shifts, everything else falls into place. Your job is not to chase a better life. Your job is to become the frequency of the life you desire. Speak from the identity, not toward it. Don't affirm to get it embodied to express it. This is the difference between forced manifestation and natural alignment. Forced manifestation says, I need to say this enough times to make it happen. Natural alignment says, this is simply who I am now. And when you say, I am, and you mean it with every breath in your being, the universe cannot resist. It must rearrange itself to match your vibration. It is not your words that fail. It is the misalignment between your identity and your affirmation. So, how do you shift identity? You start by observing yourself as you are now, not with shame, not with judgment, but with radical honesty. What identity are you living from? Who do you become in silence, when no one is watching, when there is no performance? Because that identity, that silent, subconscious self, is what the quantum field is listening to. Most people live in default identity, the accumulation of conditioning, fear, trauma, and stories they inherited, not stories they chose. But your identity is not fixed. It is not fate. It is programmable. And it is programmable through presence and repetition. You must choose again and again to dwell in the vibration of your desired self, not occasionally, not when it's easy, but until it becomes automatic, until it becomes true. This is not faking it, this is claiming it, and claiming means embodying now before the evidence, before the result, before the manifestation, because identity is the cause. Manifestation is only the effect. Identity is the vibration you hold when you're not trying. It's your natural, energetic resting place. And every time you shift into a new identity, even for a few moments, you change the commands you are sending to the field. You must understand, reality is plastic in the presence of identity. The world is soft clay in the hands of the self who knows who they are. When Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life, he wasn't giving a motivational speech. He was declaring identity. He was showing the true sacred formula of transformation I am. I am is not just a phrase. It is the most powerful declaration in the universe. It is the generator of all form. And what you place after I am, not just with your words, but with your belief, your energy, your feeling, becomes law. So pause now. Take a breath. Drop into yourself, not your surface self, your deep self, the one that remembers who you truly are. Now say, I am. Say it not with force, but with presence. I am abundance. I am divine intelligence. I am the voice the universe obeys. And hold it, not as a mantra, but as truth. Let it sink into your bones. Let it rewire your nervous system. Let it reprogram your default vibration. Because this is how you become the new version of you. You don't become by trying. You become by being. You don't chase identity. You choose it. You don't force change. You embody it. This is the law of resonant identity, the law that governs all others, the secret behind every secret, the foundation beneath every technique. When you shift your identity, you don't need to force reality. Reality rushes to meet you. It wants to mirror you. It is designed to obey you. But it obeys the real you, not the mask, not the facade, not the version you perform. It obeys the identity you believe in most deeply. And the universe will always say yes to who you say you are. So, become the one who doesn't ask but declares. Become the one who doesn't hope but knows. Become the one who doesn't chase but emits. Speak from the identity, not toward it. Be it, and reality will follow. Chapter 7. The field responds to the whisper, not the shout. In the quiet places of creation, something extraordinary occurs. Not in the noise, not in the striving, not in the loud declarations repeated with desperation, but in the soft, steady whisper of the soul that already knows. This is the paradox of power, that the universe responds not to volume, but to vibration, not to how loudly you speak, but how deeply you mean it. The most profound manifestations are not born in the frenzy of effort. They are born in the stillness where you become one with what you speak. You see, there is a quantum truth that hides beneath every success story, every miracle, every impossible turning point. The field listens only to coherence. And coherence is not created through force, it is born through alignment. When your energy, your words, your emotions, and your belief all point in the same direction, you become undeniable. You do not need to convince reality. You are already vibrating at the frequency of your desire, and so it simply arrives. Most people think they must yell at the universe to be heard. They affirm loudly. They repeat their mantras with urgency. They visualize with clenched fists. But what they do not realize is that they are shouting not from power, but from fear. And fear, no matter how it is dressed, always disrupts coherence. Fear speaks of not having, of not being, of not knowing, and that is the signal the field receives. But the whisper? The whisper carries certainty. It carries calm. It carries the frequency of someone who is not trying to convince the world because they are already in possession of it. The whisper does not beg. The whisper does not prove. The whisper speaks once, and the universe bows in response. This is the path of those who walk as creators. They do not repeat because they doubt. They do not plead because they are uncertain. Their words are few, but every syllable is soaked in power. And this is why their manifestations are fast, fluid, and unfailing. They are speaking not to the universe, but as it. They are not visitors to the field, they are the field, taking form. Think now of the moments in your life when something happened effortlessly, when a thought became reality almost instantly. when a desire arrived before you even voiced it aloud. What was present in those moments? Not stress, not pushing, not repetition. What was present was clarity, presence, a quiet knowing. That's what made the field move. This chapter is not about teaching you how to shout louder. It is about inviting you to return to the power of your whisper, to remember that subtle alignment creates more shift than 1,000 declarations made from doubt, that when your energy whispers, "It is done," the field listens more deeply than when your mouth screams, "Please let it happen." There is a deeper layer of spiritual mechanics at work here. The quantum field is intelligent not in the way humans think, but in the way life is. It organizes based on energetic blueprints, not vocal pressure. Your whisper, when it is born from the deep resonance of embodiment, is like a tuning fork that adjusts the entire hologram of your life. You don't have to run through the labyrinth to find the door. You simply hum the tone, and the walls rearrange themselves. This is why the greatest creators have always emphasized stillness, meditation, presence, the quiet inner environment where whispers are not drowned out. Because when the internal noise is silenced, the signal becomes pure. And a pure signal? That's the real language of creation. So how do you develop this whisper? First, you must stop trying to manifest as a reaction to fear. Most manifestation attempts fail not because the method is broken, but because the motive is. When you try to create from panic, you become noise, you become static, and the field does not respond to static, it responds to signal, coherent signal, clear, calm, resonant signal. To develop your whisper, you must become still. You must practice the art of quiet certainty. You must create from peace, not pressure. You must release the need to convince and instead settle into the power of knowing. Try it now. Close your eyes. Drop into stillness. Breathe slowly, naturally, gently. Bring to mind something you desire, something that matters deeply to you. And now, whisper it. Not aloud. Whisper it with your being. Whisper it with your breath. Whisper it with your presence. Whisper it not as a hope, not as a request, but as a statement. As a command made with the volume of the gods, soft, unshakable, inevitable. It is done. Feel how different that is. Feel how much more aligned it is than shouting from lack. The whisper bypasses the surface mind. It touches the infinite. It echoes in the field like a bell rung across time. Every time you whisper from alignment, the universe listens. Every time you whisper from truth, the signal gets clearer. Every time you whisper from certainty, the form begins to shift. And you must remember, one pure whisper carries more power than 1,000 forced affirmations. The field doesn't count your repetitions. It measures your coherence. It tunes into the vibration beneath your words, not the words themselves. So when you speak from now on, let your voice be the extension of your knowing. Let your thoughts be draped in calmness. Let your frequency carry the still hum of divinity. Say less, mean more. Speak less often, but from a deeper place. Speak as if it's already done, because in the quantum it is. This is your practice now. The practice of subtle creation, the practice of whispering from power rather than shouting from need, the practice of choosing alignment over effort, stillness over struggle, vibration over volume. The quantum whisper is not a metaphor, it is the method. Chapter 8. The mirror does not lie, it reflects the frequency you hold. There is no deception in the universe. There is no punishment, no reward, no judgment. There is only reflection. The cosmos is not personal, yet it is intimate. It doesn't grant your desires based on merit or morality. It simply mirrors back to you the state of being you maintain. This truth, once grasped, shatters the illusion of chance, of waiting, of being at the mercy of external forces. You are not a pawn in this cosmic game, you are the player, and the board is your consciousness. The quantum field, vast and infinite, holds every possibility you could ever imagine. Every version of you already exists. The rich you, the healed you, the loved you, the wise you. The version of you who speaks and watches reality obey not because they earned it, but because they embodied it. The field does not grant what you want, it reflects what you are. This is why affirmations spoken from a state of fear rarely bear fruit. You may say, "I am abundant," but if you feel small, scared, and desperate while saying it, the field registers the feeling, not the phrase. It doesn't listen to words, it responds to resonance. And resonance is truth felt in the body, not manufactured in the mind. So the work, the real sacred work, is not to manipulate the mirror. You cannot stand before your reflection and beg it to smile while you frown. You cannot force the image to change while remaining the same. The only way the reflection changes is when you change first. Understand this: every event in your life, every pattern, every repetition, every blessing and burden is a feedback loop. It is showing you where you are in your alignment. Your bank account is a mirror. Your relationships are mirrors. Your health, your peace, your reality, all of it is a reflection of the dominant frequency you broadcast. But this is not cause for guilt. This is cause for power. Because if reality is only reflecting, then it can be rewritten instantly by shifting the signal you emit. You don't need to fix the world. You only need to adjust the inner dial. And that adjustment begins with awareness, with asking the one question most people never dare to ask. What is life trying to show me about myself? This question is sacred. It reveals where you're aligned and where you're out of sync, not as a punishment, as an invitation. A mirror isn't cruel, it's honest. It tells you exactly what you need to know to create differently. You see, most people are trapped in a reactionary loop. They observe what is, then feel based on what they observe, then speak from that feeling, then create more of what is. It's a cycle of unconscious creation. The mirror reflects lack, so they feel lack, speak lack, and receive more lack. But the masters of manifestation, the true whisperers of the quantum, they flip this. They feel first, they decide first, they speak from the end result. And then reality, obedient as a mirror must be, changes to reflect it. You can try this right now. Bring to mind a situation in your life that's been stuck, something you've tried to change through action, effort, or wishing. Now, instead of reacting to what is, choose what must be. Choose the reality you'd rather see, not in fantasy and frequency. Close your eyes. Breathe into the version of you who is already living in the new outcome. Don't chase it, embody it. Let your shoulders drop, let your energy soften. Let your breath align with the new rhythm. Now, from this place, speak the words as if they were already true. This is my life. This is already me. This is already done. Don't say it to convince yourself. Say it because it feels real. If it doesn't feel real yet, pause and adjust. Don't fake the frequency. Feel it until it clicks. This is the practice. This is the path. Becoming the version of you who no longer speaks to the mirror in frustration, but in authority. Who no longer tries to rearrange reflections, but simply changes the source of light. Because you are the light. Your frequency is the light. And the world around you? It's just the canvas that reflects it. So, how do you change the frequency? Not by forcing joy, not by denying pain, but by tuning in with radical honesty and gentle refinement. Just as a musician tunes their instrument before playing, you tune your vibration before speaking. You don't demand from the field. You offer a new signal. You become the frequency. And then, the mirror obeys. There's something profoundly beautiful about this process because it restores your sovereignty. You no longer wait for the world to give you permission. You no longer beg life to bless you. You realize you are life, and you are the blessing. You walk past the mirror, and it follows your movement. It cannot resist. It has no power of its own. Its only role is to reflect back who you've decided to be. This is why the most powerful affirmations are not loud or long. They are true. I am safe. I am chosen. I am already there. These phrases, when spoken from deep alignment, are not spells. They are reflections of an inner shift. And when the shift is real, the result is inevitable. Let go of chasing the reflection. Begin today with tuning the tone of your being. You don't have to get everything right. You just have to become coherent. Let your thoughts, emotions, and actions line up. Let your words match your belief. Let your desires match your identity. Let your whisper match your frequency. And then watch. Watch how the mirror bends. Watch how life begins to echo your new stance. Watch how reality reshapes itself, not because you forced it, but because you finally aligned with the you who no longer needs to force anything. In the world of matter, we change by moving things. In the world of energy, we change by moving ourselves. Speak not from the reflection, but from the origin. Speak not from doubt, but from resonance. Speak as the source, and let the mirror obey its master. You have always been the source. You have always been the light. You were never meant to react. You were always meant to declare. Now you know. Chapter 9. The law beyond law. Speak from completion, not desire. There is a dimension few dare to enter, not because it is hidden, but because it is too simple to seem powerful. It is the dimension of completion, not the future, not the waiting, not the wishing, but the silent and unwavering knowing that what you desire is already yours, not metaphorically, but vibrationally. You see, the universe does not operate on morality, effort, or luck. It moves in response to the one who understands how to speak from completion. Completion is the voice of the Creator. It doesn't ask, it doesn't beg, it doesn't request, it declares. It is not impressed by conditions, nor is it shaken by delay. Completion is the state of consciousness that no longer searches, because it has remembered its place at the center of all things. And when you speak from that place, reality bends. Most people speak toward their desires. They say, I want this, or I hope for that. But every time they speak from longing, they reinforce the distance between themselves and the thing they seek. Their words echo through the universe like unanswered prayers. And not because the universe is cruel, but because it is precise. It delivers not what you ask for, but what you are. Desire, when felt from lack, is a broadcast of absence. It says, this is not yet me. And so, the universe mirrors that vibration, returning more and more experiences that reflect the absence of what is wanted. But when desire is transmuted into completion, the game changes entirely. You stop saying, I want love, and instead speak, I am loved, not as a hopeful affirmation, but as a knowing. You stop visualizing a better future, and instead occupy the vibration of it right now. This is the shift the mystics knew. It is the secret encoded in ancient prayers, buried beneath metaphor and myth. When you pray as if it is already done, you are not begging God, you are activating law. You are aligning with the frequency of fulfillment. You are stepping into the stream of completion, where the universe has no choice but to match your knowing. Completion is not delusion, it is resonance. It is the act of becoming what you seek before it arrives. And in that becoming, it arrives. The quantum field holds every version of reality simultaneously, every outcome, every miracle, every timeline. But the version that becomes your reality is the one that matches your most consistent vibrational state. So, if you remain in a state of want, you are tuned into the version of reality where you are always wanting. If you shift into a state of done, the field must give you the reflection of done. It's not philosophy, it's law. Try this now. Close your eyes and imagine the version of you who already has what you're seeking. The relationship, the wealth, the peace, the expansion. Not just the image of it, feel the settling of it, the normalcy of it. How your body would feel if this were your reality every day. Let it feel less like a fantasy and more like home. And now, from that state, whisper the words, "It is already done." Feel how different that is from saying, "I want it." Feel the calm, the steadiness, the rootedness. That is the vibration of completion. That is the tone the universe cannot ignore. When you speak from there, you are not creating, you are selecting. You are not commanding, you are aligning. And alignment is what causes the field to collapse into form. But here's the subtle mastery. You cannot fake this frequency. You cannot pretend to be in completion while secretly hoping for something to happen. The field is intelligent. It reads your energy, not your words. You must become the version of you who is complete. You must shift from identification with the seeker to embodiment of the speaker. You are not calling reality to you. You are collapsing into the version of it that already exists. It's not about pulling something in, it's about dissolving everything in you that contradicts it. The doubt, the disbelief, the hesitation. Completion is the state where there is no contradiction. It is coherent, whole, unwavering. And this is why few master it, because completion requires trust. Trust that what you feel within will become what you see without. Trust that speaking from the end is more powerful than planning from the beginning. Trust that the universe doesn't need time, it only needs alignment. When you begin to live from completion, everything changes. You stop chasing. You stop analyzing. You stop negotiating with reality. You start occupying. You speak differently. You move differently. You no longer ask, "When will it come?" You start asking, "How would I act now that it's here?" This is the language of the quantum whisper. It is quiet, but absolute. It doesn't shout. It doesn't explain. It speaks once with certainty, and then it lets the field organize itself around the vibration of truth. You don't have to force the 3D world. You let it mold itself around your knowing. You live, breathe, and exist as if your desire is behind your eyes, not out in front of you. That is the essence of speaking from completion. And the proof is always in the shift. You'll know you've entered this state when your nervous system relaxes, when the urgency fades, when the grip loosens. That's not giving up, that's arriving. That's the sign that your signal is clean, and a clean signal is a magnet, it cannot be denied. So speak now, not from the version of you that wants. Speak from the version that has, the one who knows, the one who doesn't need to prove anything. Let your words be soft but sovereign. Let your actions reflect already having. Let your posture reflect arrival, and the field will follow. Completion is not about waiting less. It's about being more true, more embodied, more coherent. The more you are, the less you need to do. You become the instruction that the universe follows. This is the sacred reversal of manifestation. You don't use words to reach completion. You reach completion, and then your words hold power. Power that speaks once, speaks softly, speaks with finality. and the universe obeys. Chapter 10. The Voice Behind the Voice, Aligning with the Infinite You. Before the universe echoes back what you've declared, it first listens beneath your words, not to the sound, but to the frequency humming behind the syllables. Not to the phrase, but to the presence from which the phrase emerges. This is the voice behind the voice, the real communicator of creation. The you that precedes your personality, precedes your conditioning, precedes even your identity. This is not the voice of the ego, nor the voice of doubt masked with affirmation. It is the voice of the infinite you. And once this voice speaks, the cosmos doesn't deliberate. It delivers. You see, language as you know it is merely the surface of creation, like waves lapping at the shores of eternity. But beneath the surface is a deeper language, a language of energy, of being, of tone, a language that cannot lie. When you speak from your thinking mind, you may utter, "I am abundant," but the voice behind it says, "I am afraid." You may affirm, "I trust the process," but the voice beneath whispers, "I feel lost." And that's the signal the universe obeys the undercurrent, not the surface noise. To align with the universe, you must first align with you, not the temporary you, not the reactive you, but the eternal presence that watches all of it. That sees your thoughts come and go like clouds across a sky it never leaves. That knows beyond words, beyond logic, beyond fear. When you speak from this, you, the quantum realm, moves instantly. It rearranges itself to match your dominant signal. It rushes to reflect the being, not the pretending. This is why so many speak and nothing changes, because they're broadcasting from fragmentation. They speak one thing, think another, believe a third, and feel something else entirely. The result? Static, mismatch, resistance. And in that fragmented frequency, the signal never makes it through the veil. But when your being becomes unified, when your thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and identity converge in harmony, your voice becomes the voice of God. Not metaphorically, literally. Because God is not a person, it is the principle of total coherence. And when you reach that state, your voice doesn't ask, it declares, not in volume, but in truth. To speak from the infinite you is not to use louder words. It is to become louder in essence. It is to emit a frequency that cannot be mistaken for doubt. A frequency so whole, so complete, so pure that it becomes a gravitational command. That's when your reality begins to orbit around you, like planets around a sun they cannot escape. But how do you find this voice? How do you return to the source of speech, not just the sound? You go into the silence beneath your personality. You strip off the layers, the shoulds, the fears, the mental noise. You sit in the sacred void until only awareness remains. And then you listen. You don't listen with your ears. You listen with your being. You feel the tone of the eternal you vibrating softly in the center of your chest, always still, always waiting. That tone is the true whisper, not the whisper of a mouth, but the whisper of presence. It says nothing, and yet it says everything. It does not rush, it does not doubt, it simply knows. And once you hear it, once you truly attune to it, your external voice becomes unstoppable. Because now it is fueled by the infinite. Now it is no longer your personality trying to manipulate life. It is your soul aligning with its rightful creation. This is why ancient mystics didn't speak often. Not because they lacked thoughts, but because they knew when they finally did speak, the universe would move. They understood the weight of their voice. And they understood that speaking without alignment was noise. But when they spoke from that infinite space, miracles happened. Not because of magic, but because of mastery. You too can return to that space. You too can learn to speak from stillness. to speak only when your voice is plugged into source, to speak only when your words are carved from inner silence, not reactive noise. And in doing so, you don't just speak, you create. Try it now. Go within. Set down the effort. Set down the identity. Breathe deep and feel for the presence underneath your thoughts, the watcher, the being behind your eyes, the silent knowing beneath the chatter. Now let that part of you expand. Let it grow until it becomes the room you sit in. Let it fill your lungs, your blood, your aura, until all that remains is it. That is your real voice. That is the quantum whisper. When it finally chooses to speak even one word, the field shifts. You see, you are always broadcasting, even when you're silent. Especially then, the frequency of your consciousness is always signaling something to the quantum realm. So the goal is not to speak more. It's to speak less, but from greater truth. It's to let your voice emerge from being, not belief, from embodiment, not desperation. Because the universe doesn't need convincing, it needs clarity. And clarity comes from congruence. When every part of you is in agreement, when your voice matches your vibration, when your words match your worthiness, when your statements match your state, manifestation becomes instant. Not because you said it louder, or longer, or more often, but because your being became louder than your doubt. The voice behind your voice doesn't beg, it doesn't strive, it doesn't wonder. It simply is. And that is-ness is what the field responds to. Not what you say, but what you are when you say it. So the next time you speak to the universe, whether in prayer, in affirmation, in declaration, ask yourself this: what voice is speaking? The one that fears or the one that knows? The one that begs or the one that beams? The one that doubts or the one that doesn't even need to ask because it already is? When you speak from the infinite you don't ask the universe to deliver. You deliver the universe to yourself. Because now the speaker and the source are the same. Chapter 11. The pause that commands mastering the moment before speech. There is a secret known to sages, mystics, and creators of extraordinary lives, and it is this: the most powerful moment in manifestation is not the moment you speak, but the pause that comes just before it. It is in this silence, this infinitesimal stillness before the vibration takes form, that the universe listens most intently, like the hush that falls in a concert hall before a maestro lifts the baton, the still air before thunder cracks the sky. This is the quantum pause, the moment of pure potential, unshaped, undirected, undisturbed. And in this moment, the whisper becomes law. Most people rush past it, eager to declare, to affirm, to do. They run toward the manifestation, toward the speech, toward the ceremony of I am. But in doing so, they miss the most sacred part of creation, the part where all power gathers itself in the invisible realm. The pause is not emptiness. It is fullness waiting to be born. It is the point where your essence meets eternity and decides what shall be spoken into existence. To master this pause is to become the artist who paints with silence, the builder who shapes with breath, the commander who utters not with the lips, but with the soul. Because in this pause, your being reveals its frequency, not what you wish for, but what you are. And the field, the quantum realm, reads only that. The truth is, manifestation is not about the words at all. Words are merely markers, indicators. They point, but they don't create. What creates is the presence behind the word. And presence can only be accessed in stillness, in the pause. Have you ever felt a moment so full of presence it made your skin buzz? A glance, a breath, a split second before something enormous happened, yet nothing had happened yet. That was the field tuning in. That was the space where time paused and reality waited for your command. And whatever you chose to be in that moment became the seed from which the next world grew. This is why the greatest mystics speak so little, because their silence is doing more than most people's shouting. Their stillness is vibrating with such density, such power, that the field cannot ignore it. And when they do speak even a single word, it shifts timelines. To pause before speaking is not hesitation. It is not doubt. It is sovereignty. It is the sacred act of aligning your inner signal before you press send into the infinite. It is the difference between a reaction and a reality command. Let us break this further, because you must not confuse silence with absence. In the quantum whisper, silence is not what's left when words disappear. It is what precedes the words, the womb from which they're born. And if that womb is filled with chaos, your words will carry it. If it's filled with fear, your declarations will echo with tremors. But if the pause is filled with certainty, presence, and alignment, then the words that follow must manifest, because they are forged in clarity. This is why you must learn to wait, not as a form of procrastination, but as a form of precision. To wait, not in passivity, but in poise. The universe doesn't rush. It rotates galaxies in silence. It pulses stars in perfect order. And yet, we rush to speak, to ask, to affirm, hoping that speed equals power. But speed without alignment is noise, and noise does not move reality. But presence does. To train in this art is simple, yet profound. You practice becoming still enough to feel the pause. You sit with a desire. You do not speak it. You do not visualize it. You simply let it live inside you. And you wait for the moment when every cell of your being becomes it, when your breath, your bones, your vibration match the thing you are about to say. That is the sacred pause. And when you speak, if you speak at all, the words will ripple outward like seismic waves through the quantum field. You won't need to say them twice, because the field will recognize you, not as someone trying to become, but as someone who already is. Do you know why the universe takes some people seriously and not others? It is not judgment. It is resonance. The field listens for coherence. It listens for alignment. It listens for that moment when the being is not fractured, but whole, and the pause is used as calibration, not confusion. So ask yourself, when I speak, am I speaking from the pause or past the pause? Am I giving space for my being to align, or am I rushing to speak before I'm ready to hold the weight of my command? Because the moment before speech is where the spell is cast, not with the tongue but with the soul. And if that soul is steady, the universe bows. You don't have to believe this to make it true. You only need to experience it once. One moment of sitting in the stillness, letting the silence fill you until you become the desire, until you are the frequency of the fulfilled version of your life. And then you speak. And when you do, the universe will obey. Because the whisper does not shout. It simply knows. Chapter 12. Speak as one who has the language of already. In the ancient temples of speech, long before language was carved into clay tablets or echoed in prayer halls, there was a knowing, a sacred code passed not through syllables or syntax, but through vibration and certainty, a way of speaking so aligned with truth that when one uttered it, the universe moved, not because it was asked to, but because it had no choice. This code still exists, and it lives within you. It is the language of already. You have been taught to speak as a seeker, to ask, to plead, to pray for what you do not yet have. And so, the universe in perfect mirror continues to reflect back that which you do not have. It is not ignoring you. It is not withholding your desires. It is simply responding precisely to the message behind your words. I want, you say, and the field echoes back. You want. I hope, you whisper, and reality replies, you hope. But what happens when you no longer ask, no longer beg, no longer try to align, and instead you speak as one who already has? Then the quantum field responds with a different vibration, because now it recognizes authority. Now it hears the voice of creation. Let's be clear. Speaking as one who has is not pretending. It is not tricking yourself or forcing belief. It is stepping into the version of yourself who knows, who has already walked through the door, who is not waiting on the miracle, but is the miracle made flesh. It is to say, not I will be free, but I am free now. Not I wish to be loved, but I am loved fully. Not I want abundance, but everything I touch expands with wealth. And the universe, hearing this vibration of already, does what it has always done. It matches frequency. You see, the field does not wait for linear time to align with your declaration. It responds in the now, the eternal now, where all possibilities exist simultaneously. There is no future tense in the language of the universe. There is only presence, only being. So when you say, I am, you are accessing the most powerful command in the cosmos. And when that I am is spoken not from desperation, not from ego, but from the depth of wholeness, mountains move. But this chapter is not merely philosophical. It is a call to action, a recoding of your language, not just externally, but internally, because you are speaking all the time, even in silence. Your thoughts are words without sound. Your emotions are statements in energy. Your expectations are unspoken declarations to the field. So ask yourself, how are you speaking in your quietest moments? Are you saying, it's hard, without realizing? Are you silently murmuring, I'm not ready, in the background hum of your nervous system? If so, the universe, being faithful to your frequency, simply echoes, yes, it is hard, and no, you are not ready. But the moment you change the script, the moment your inner monologue becomes a celebration instead of a complaint, a decree instead of a delay, reality must shift. Because what you speak, you become. And what you embody, the universe must obey. It is not personal. It is principle. You do not need to scream to be heard. In fact, the quieter the command, the more powerful its impact if it's spoken from the place of already. That's why your affirmations don't always work, because if you're saying, I am wealthy, while internally vibrating, I am broke, your words become static, mismatched frequency, disconnected signal. But when every cell of your being sings in harmony with your speech, the field can only respond. So here is your practice. Each day, speak aloud as one who already is, not as an act of hope, but as an identity. Declare who you are not as a goal, but as a grounded truth. Let your voice carry the tone of certainty, not confidence. Certainty, the tone of someone who has already seen the outcome, someone who is already living the result. And if your environment contradicts, you speak louder within, not with volume, but with vibration. Because your external world is not your source. It is your reflection, and reflection must follow the image, not the other way around. This is the great inversion. The world has taught you to speak after results show up. But the quantum whisperer speaks before, and results obey. This is the essence of prophecy, of command, of divine authorship. When you say, it is done, with the resonance of knowing, you are not predicting the future, you are writing it. Let that land. You are not waiting on the universe is waiting on your alignment. So do not say, I will have. Say, I already am. Speak as the healed. Speak as the loved. Speak as the chosen. Speak as the master of the moment, because you are. And when you speak as one who has, you step out of time. You bypass resistance. You enter the realm of the inevitable. No more hoping. No more affirming from lack. No more trying to believe. Only knowing. Only claiming. Only speaking from the seat of the soul where all things already exist, waiting to be named. Speak as the God within you. Speak as the dream already fulfilled. Speak as the universe whispering through human form, because it is, and so are you. Chapter 13. The Whisper That Bypasses Time. Time, as you've been taught, is a master to be obeyed, a ticking tyrant you must negotiate with. A linear path you must walk one moment at a time, like stepping stones stretched across a vast, slow-moving river. But what if time was not a ruler, but a servant? What if time was not a road, but a curtain thin, illusory, waiting to be pulled aside? There is a whisper that moves faster than time, a vibration so subtle, yet so profound that it doesn't need to wait for things to unfold. It doesn't pace itself by the clock, nor does it consult the calendar before it creates. It operates in the quantum, that mysterious, immeasurable space where now means all and later means nothing. It is the whisper of command, of certainty, of embodied knowing. When you speak from this space, you bypass delay. You transcend process. You dissolve waiting. You do not force reality to change. You collapse the distance between desire and fulfillment simply by refusing to acknowledge that distance exists. This is the secret held by mystics, by sages, by those who were called gods in forgotten times. They knew that to move reality, they must first step outside of time, because time is a construct of the conscious mind, a necessary illusion for those still bound to cause and effect. But you, now awakening, are no longer bound. You are learning to operate from the now that contains all outcomes, the now that does not require proof, the now that speaks with such quiet certainty the universe has no choice but to echo it. Think of the moments in your life where something impossible happened, when a solution appeared out of nowhere, when a person called just as you thought of them, when you felt like you had lived this moment before. These are not anomalies. They are moments when your consciousness temporarily bypassed time, when your mind let go of the illusion of sequence and slipped into synchronicity. You were not creating the future. You were remembering it. And in that remembrance, you spoke something silently that reshaped reality. That is the quantum whisper. It is not dramatic. It is not loud. It is not even always verbal. Sometimes it's just a stillness within a wordless knowing, a nod from the soul that says, "This is already true." And because you are the source of reality, your whisper becomes law. You see, the universe doesn't need you to shout. It doesn't even need you to explain. It responds not to your desperation, but to your vibration. So, if you're wondering why your affirmations haven't been working, ask yourself, did I say them from alignment, or did I speak them to chase time? Because time is slippery when you chase it, but it becomes your ally when you stand still and command. This is why the great teachers said, "Be still and know." Stillness is not weakness. It is power in pure form. It is the silence before lightning strikes, the quiet breath before the word that remakes the world. From that stillness you whisper, "It is already done." Not because you see it, not because you've touched it, but because your soul remembers the version of you who already lives it, and in that memory, you bring it forward into form. This is how quantum manifestation works. You do not bend time, you step out of it. You do not accelerate reality, you realign with it. You don't need to wait 10 years. You only need to align with the version of you who already holds what you seek and speak from there. Feel that for a moment. There's a version of you, in a parallel now, who is already healed, already wealthy, already deeply loved, already fully expressed. That version of you is not a fantasy. It is as real as this one and more powerful, because it vibrates from completion, not from longing. And when you shift into that state even for a moment and speak from it, the bridge between timelines collapses, and what was once a possibility becomes your lived experience. This is not imagination. This is energetic relocation. You are not stuck in your current circumstances. You are simply tuned to a channel, and all channels already exist. The whisper is the dial. So how do you tune in? You become the version of you who already has it, and then you speak. Not in future tense, not in begging tone, but in present truth. I am there. I have arrived. This is mine. I embody this reality fully. You speak these words not from hope, but from memory, not from imagination, but from resonance. You say them quietly, like a secret you're finally ready to tell yourself. And then you watch reality rearrange, not slowly, not someday, but with the subtle speed of quantum unfolding. There is no force in this, no grind, no burnout, just clarity, alignment, identity. The whisper bypasses the line, it skips the cue. It walks through walls because walls are only real to the mind that believes in them. It says, I do not need permission from time, I am time. Let that sink in. You are not a victim of clocks and calendars. You are the consciousness that invented time so you could experience movement, but you were never meant to be imprisoned by it. From this moment forward, you are free to choose. To speak as one who knows. To whisper as the creator, not the seeker. To bypass what others call the wait and live in what the mystics called already. You don't need to earn this. You only need to remember. Because the whisper has always been within you, waiting for your stillness, waiting for your trust. It speaks in silence. It speaks in certainty. It speaks not of what might be, but of what already is. And when you speak from this place, the universe listens with reverence, and reality obeys. Chapter 14. Speaking in the language of already. There is a language older than words, yet more powerful than any spell spoken aloud. It is the language of already. The language of the soul, before it was ever taught how to doubt. The tongue of the divine fluent, not in effort, but in embodiment. You've been taught to speak in terms of desire, I want, I need, I hope someday. These phrases seem harmless, even earnest. But every time you use them, you build a wall between yourself and the life you seek. Every time you say I want, you confirm I don't have. Every time you say I need, you affirm I lack. And the universe, ever loyal, simply reflects back the message you broadcast. More wanting, more needing, more delay. But the masters, the seers, the ones who bend reality without a flicker of force, they speak differently. They speak in terms of already. They do not ask. They declare. They do not hope. They embody. They do not chase reality. They assume it has already caught them. When you begin to speak this way, not just from the mouth, but from the marrow of your being, everything changes. Not because your words are magic, but because they reveal your alignment. And the universe does not respond to words, it responds to alignment. So when you say, I am already the one who, and mean it, truly mean it with the full authority of your being, the very particles of existence begin to obey. Reality does not negotiate with doubt, but it surrenders effortlessly to certainty. Let this truth reverberate through you. You are not asking for what is outside of you. you are confirming what is within. You are not a beggar at the gates of possibility. You are the architect speaking blueprints into being. It is not arrogance to speak in this way. It is reverence for the divine power that breathes through you. It is a return to your natural state, one where you speak not to convince the world, but to remind it of what it already knows. The birds do not question their right to fly. The stars do not plead to shine. They simply are. And now, so must you be. The language of already does not depend on evidence. It creates evidence. It is not based on appearances. It alters appearances. To speak this way is to live beyond probability and into inevitability. It is to stand before a locked door and say, "It is already open," until the hinges yield. It is to wake each day, not asking, "What will I receive?" but proclaiming, "I have already received it. My only task is to allow it to reach me." Feel that shift. Let it land in you. This is no longer about becoming. This is about returning to the truth that was never lost, only covered. The practice begins simply. Shift your speech. Catch the moments you say, "I want," and reframe them. "I am already living it. I am already aligned with it. This is my current reality, whether it has arrived in form or not." You may not feel like you believe these words at first. That's okay. You are not lying. You are rewiring, reclaiming. Belief will catch up to your new language, because words shape worlds. And when you start to speak the language of already, your body begins to recalibrate. Your mind begins to restructure. Your emotions begin to harmonize. And the universe? It begins to echo your song, because it was always waiting for you to stop whispering in the dialect of lack and start speaking in the voice of wholeness. There is a world within you that already holds everything you've asked for. And the password is not a prayer or a plea. It is a statement of being. I am. That's it. That is the tone that moves mountains, that splits seas, that rewrites timelines. I am the one who lives this life now. I am the one for whom miracles are normal. I am the embodiment of my highest vision. No question, no resistance, just declaration. That's the whisper the universe waits for. Because once you speak in this way, once your vibration says already, your identity says already, your posture says already, the universe can only comply. This is the sacred agreement between you and all that is. You do not command reality by trying harder. You command reality by becoming the version of you who no longer needs to try. When you walk as if it's done, when you breathe as if it's fulfilled, when you move as if it cannot be otherwise, then the material world responds not out of pity, not out of effort, but out of recognition. It sees you, the real you, and simply mirrors that truth. So take this moment now, find a quiet space inside yourself, and ask, where have I been speaking from lack? Where have I been begging when I could be embodying? And then shift, speak again. This time not with hope, this time with remembrance. I am already living it. Let your cells rearrange around that phrase. Let your vibration harmonize with it. Let your world begin to bend, not with noise, but with quiet knowing. This is the whisper that rewrites destiny. The voice that echoes through dimensions. The tone that turns dreams into presence. You are ready to speak in this way, because you've always known how. You just needed to remember that your voice shapes the world, and that when you speak in the language of already, reality listens without question. Chapter 15. The Power of Unspoken Declarations. There exists a truth so potent, so pure, that few dare to wield it. It is the power of silence, not as absence, but as presence. not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of absolute command. There is a kind of speech that requires no sound, no syllables, no phrases. It is the language the universe responds to most immediately, the vibration of unspoken knowing. The masters never shouted, they never begged. They walked quietly, but with an energy that moved reality around them like wind around a mountain. Their presence alone commanded outcomes. Their stillness wasn't passive, it was active, alive, charged with unseen instructions flowing into the quantum field. This is the next evolution of your becoming, the chapter where you no longer speak to be heard, but where your energy speaks for you. Because long before the words form in your throat, you've already made the declaration. And that's when the world begins to rearrange itself. The universe is not listening to what you say. It's listening to the tone behind your thoughts, the resonance behind your posture, the frequency behind your breath. You may utter affirmations all day long, but if your energy vibrates doubt, the message received is contradiction. But when you sit still, when your body is quiet, and your aura declares, it is done, without moving, without pushing, without seeking, that is when the world moves mountains on your behalf. This is the quantum whisper at its most refined. It is not spoken from lips, but from being. You begin to understand this when you stop speaking just to affirm, when you stop announcing what you want to convince yourself of, when you instead begin to embody what no longer needs to be said. Walk into a room with the energy of success and watch how people react. Say nothing, announce nothing. Let your silence speak of certainty. Let your calm say, I already know. This is not arrogance. This is energetic authorship. Because the universe doesn't read words, it reads alignment. And alignment is silent but deafening. It's the subtle shift when your heart stops questioning, the gentle click when your identity locks into place, the knowing that needs no outside evidence. That's the state of unspoken declaration. It is not denial of form, it is command over it. It says, this is who I am. I no longer need to prove it. And because you no longer need to prove it, the proving happens around you without effort. Imagine a lion in a forest. It doesn't roar for recognition. It simply exists and the forest responds. The trees lean slightly, the winds shift, the animals sense. The air itself carries the awareness of its presence. This is your new standard, not shouting, not convincing, not demonstrating. Simply being and allowing your silent presence to do the work. Because here's the secret. Energy always precedes form, and your internal state will always dictate your external experience. So the question is, what is your energy silently declaring, moment to moment? Not what are you saying, but what are you radiating? That is the broadcast the universe is tuned to. So begin to listen more deeply. Feel the messages that flow from you without words. Catch the moments when your body says, I don't believe, even while your mouth says, I do. Catch the subtle vibrations that whisper, I'm still waiting, even when your mind says, it's mine. And then shift. Not through effort, but through alignment, through breath, through stillness, through presence. Begin to fill the space around you with the vibration of completion. Walk with the quiet energy of done. Breathe with the calm of received. Sit with the posture of absolute. Because here's the mystery the mystics knew. In the realm of the quantum, it is the silent declarations that move fastest. Sound travels through air, but vibration travels through reality. The more refined your signal, the more precise your results. So, what does this look like in practice? It looks like waking in the morning and speaking nothing at all but radiating the energy of a day that already worked out perfectly. It looks like sitting at your desk, no action yet taken, but your field already humming with the results. It looks like going on a walk, and with each step silently broadcasting, "I am the one who already lives this." Let others ask. Let others doubt. Let others need proof. You no longer do. Your energy speaks for you, and because it speaks in silence, it cannot lie. You cannot fake alignment, but you can choose it, moment by moment, breath by breath, state by state. This is how you begin to master the unsaid, how you become fluent in the quantum whisper that echoes not in sound but in space. And here's the miracle. When you get this, you'll begin to notice your life rearranging around you even before you make a move. Doors will open without you knocking. Opportunities will recognize your frequency before you arrive. People will respond to you not based on what you say, but on what you carry. Because your being speaks a language your mouth could never translate. This is the secret. This is the threshold. This is where manifesting becomes remembering, where desire becomes embodiment, where thought becomes presence, where energy becomes command. No more asking, no more wishing, no more explaining. Only the quiet power of being and letting the world adjust. Let your silence become your statement. Let your vibration be your signature. Let your presence speak for you in a language the universe never forgets. Chapter 16. The Echo of Your Identity. There is a question the universe never stops asking you. Who are you being right now? Not what are you doing, not what do you want, but who are you being at the frequency level, the vibration beneath the words, the identity that whispers beneath every thought and breath. Because in the quantum realm, your identity is the loudest declaration you will ever make. It doesn't matter what you say if your being is saying something else. It doesn't matter what you visualize if your identity is anchored in lack. The universe will always respond not to what you wish but to what you are. And this is where the real work begins. Not in chasing new affirmations or scripting more desires, but in reshaping the core from which you speak your identity signature. You see, every reality you desire already exists. In some timeline, it's already real. But the version of you living that reality, the one with the wealth, the love, the peace, the effortless successes, being someone different, not better, not more worthy, simply aligned, tuned, integrated. You do not attract what you want. You attract what matches the echo of who you believe you are. So the question is not, how do I get there? The question is, who do I need to be for there to become here? This is the foundation of the quantum whisper. The silent frequency you emit every second, rippling through the field, summoning echoes of realities that match your tone. If your energy hums with worry, the field sends back more to worry about. If your identity pulses with lack, the universe responds with more reminders of what's missing. But if your essence begins to vibrate as the one who already has it, reality has no choice but to agree. That's the sacred secret. The field does not argue, it simply reflects. Identity is not a role you play. It's a state you inhabit, a frequency you anchor into every interaction, every silence, every breath. And the way you shift identity is not by force, it is by resonance. You don't become abundant by repeating, "I am rich," while feeling poor. You don't become powerful by pretending confidence while carrying fear in your nervous system. You become it by tuning like a string, like a note, like a memory of a version of you that already exists and is simply waiting for you to step in. This is not a fantasy. This is quantum mechanics. Every potential self already exists in the field. You do not have to build that self from scratch. You only have to align. So, how do you do it? You begin by listening not to the words in your head, but to the signals in your being. Notice how your body reacts when you think about your dream life. Does it tense? Does it resist? Does it feel distant? That's identity misalignment. Now think about something you know for sure. The sun will rise, your name, the air in your lungs. Feel how that sits in your body. Stable, grounded, known. That's the resonance you must carry for your desire. Not hope, not wish, known. The difference between becoming and being is certainty, not arrogance, not ego, but calm, cellular knowing. And when you begin to broadcast from that identity, you'll notice that life bends to you not because you're lucky, but because you've stopped arguing with who you truly are. The quantum whisper is not a request. It's an echo, a return signal. So if the universe keeps sending back struggle or delay or noise, it's not punishing you. It's simply holding up a mirror. And in that mirror is not your desire, it is your current identity. The way you change the reflection is not by fighting the mirror. You change yourself. You embody the identity of the version of you who doesn't chase but attracts. The one who doesn't plead but declares. The one who doesn't look for signs because they are the sign. And the moment you shift into that version, the field reshapes itself around you. Here's a truth most never learn. Reality is not fixed, it is reactive. And the primary influencer is not action, but identity. You can build all the funnels, do all the work, grind every day. But if your identity is still rooted in not enough, your results will echo that same lack. This is why some people seem to work less and manifest more. It's not effort that creates its alignment. Your identity is your algorithm. And once you rewrite it, the feedback loop begins. You don't need to convince the world. You don't need to show results before you believe. You believe, and the results must follow. Because identity, when fully embodied, is a magnet that draws matching timelines from the infinite field of possibility. So take a breath now, not to relax, but to return. To return to the truth of who you are when you stop doubting, to the frequency of your highest self, the one who doesn't wonder if, but declares when. This is the shift. This is the whisper. Not shouted, not forced, but embodied. And once you choose to live from that identity, you will discover the greatest miracle of all. You were never trying to become anything. You were only remembering what you always were. Chapter 17. When speech becomes spell, there comes a moment when words stop being descriptions and become directions. A moment when what you speak no longer narrates your world, it commands it. In this sacred chapter of your journey, we awaken the truth that has been with you since your first breath. Your voice is a spell, not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. Every syllable you utter releases a frequency that ripples through the field of reality. Every phrase, a command inscribed upon the invisible currents of quantum space. And when your words are aligned with certainty, spoken from the identity of your highest self, they don't echo, they create. You've been told that words have power, but the depth of this truth was never explained. You were taught to speak kindly, to affirm what you desire, to avoid negative talk. But beneath these surface-level teachings lies the real secret. Speech is the bridge between thought and form. It is the carrier wave through which the unmanifest becomes manifest. In the ancient temples, initiates were not taught to speak until they understood the responsibility of language. For to speak is to declare reality. And most people unknowingly curse their lives with every casual utterance. I can't afford it. I never get lucky. Things just don't work out for me. These are not innocent phrases. They are incantations. Repeated often enough, they inscribe a blueprint into the energetic field, one the universe then obeys without question. But the same law that enslaves can liberate. The same voice that locked you in can now open every gate. To master this chapter is to recognize that your voice is a sacred instrument, and your reality a living response to its vibration. Your words are wands, and when wielded with wisdom, they unlock the reality your heart has always whispered for. So, let's begin the return to conscious speech. Start by remembering the last time you said something aloud that immediately manifested. Maybe you spoke of someone and they called. Maybe you feared something and it arrived. Maybe you casually declared, "This always happens to me," and sure enough, it did. These weren't coincidences. These were demonstrations. The universe revealing that it listens more intently to your tone than your intentions. You can't lie to the field. It does not hear what you want, it hears what you mean. That's why you must speak not from hope, but from knowing. In the quantum field, every word is encoded with energy. If you say, "I am wealthy," but your voice trembles with disbelief, the field reads the tremble, not the words. If you declare, "It is done," but your being still vibrates with doubt, the command is lost. But when your speech and your frequency are unified, miracles obey you. This is the art of becoming spellbound by your own voice, not because of ego, but because you trust the sacred alignment of your word. In ancient languages, the words spell and story share the same root, because every spell is a story told with certainty, and every story you tell becomes the architecture of your future. What story are you telling right now? Are you telling the story of a seeker, a struggler, a wounded soul trying to be healed? Or are you telling the story of a being who remembers their divinity, who speaks worlds into existence not with effort, but with tone? To shift your life, you must shift your narrative. And to shift your narrative, you must become deliberate in speech, sacred in diction, aligned in tone. Here is a sacred practice. For one day, speak only what you want to be true, not what your eyes see, not what your past has shown you. Speak only that which aligns with your highest intention. If doubt arises, observe it silently, but do not give it a voice. Declare, "Everything is aligning for me now." Say, "Money flows to me because I am a match for abundance." Whisper, "Love surrounds me and finds me everywhere I go." Let your voice become your tool, your altar, your transmitter. Each word you speak is a brushstroke on the canvas of creation. And here's the deeper secret. When your speech becomes sacred, your silence does too. You'll find yourself speaking less because you no longer waste your breath. Every phrase becomes intentional. Every conversation becomes a ritual. Every silence becomes filled with resonance. The ancients were right to fear and revere the power of the spoken word, because once you master your tongue, you no longer react to the world, you rewrite it. And this doesn't mean you deny reality. No, it means you override it. Not by force, but by authority. You are the author of your field. Your voice is not just for communication, it's for creation. The air vibrates when you speak, and the universe listens. And when your voice carries the energy of command, reality shifts. So, don't ask, "How do I change my life?" Ask, "What am I commanding through my words?" Don't ask, "When will things change?" Ask, "What have I been declaring as truth?" You don't need more effort, you need more alignment. And alignment begins with speech. So speak less from memory and more from vision. Less from pain, more from power. Less from fear, more from frequency. And watch as the world that once felt deaf to your desires suddenly begins to echo your every whisper, because you've always been heard. You simply hadn't spoken as the creator yet. Now you will, and everything will change. Chapter 18. The Law of Echo. There is a law hidden beneath all laws, a sacred principle buried not in complexity, but in utter simplicity. The universe, in all its majesty, does not begin the conversation. It only answers. This is the law of echo. What you whisper into existence with faith and emotion, it returns samplified, mirrored, undeniable. Most people speak to life as if it has ears. And it does, but not in the way they expect. The universe doesn't hear words the way humans do. It hears tone, vibration. It listens to the truth behind what is said, not just the phrase itself. When you say, "I am ready for abundance," but your vibration says, "I still feel lack," the universe does not echo the words, it echoes the vibration. That is why so many feel like they are calling out to a silent sky. But the sky is not silent, it's reflecting. To understand this law is to understand the entire mechanism of reality. It is not responding to your thoughts, it is responding to your signal. And your signal is made up of what you repeatedly feel, speak, expect, and believe. This law doesn't care if you're conscious of it or not. It doesn't ask for your permission. It just echoes. You say, "Why does this always happen to me?" And the universe loyal obedience says, "Because you told me it always does." Echo. You say, "Nothing ever works out," and it replies, "As you wish." Echo. But here's the miracle. Once you realize that the universe is only echoing you, you stop trying to change it and start changing you. You stop pleading with life to be different and begin issuing declarations of what is. You understand that the true work is not convincing the universe, but convincing yourself. When you change your signal, the echo must change. Let me say that again, because it is the key to everything. When you change your signal, the echo must change. It cannot help it. It has no choice. That is the law. You do not need to beg. You do not need to wait. You simply need to become a new frequency, and the world will reorganize itself around it. Now, this truth does not come without its sacred responsibility, because once you know that life echoes you, you can no longer afford to speak carelessly, feel passively, or think unconsciously. Every broadcast counts. Every emotion is a signal, every word a decree. Most are manifesting chaos because their inner dialogue is chaotic. They oscillate between belief and doubt, gratitude and resentment, love and fear. And the universe, faithful as ever, echoes both, delivering a life of mixed messages and confused outcomes. The masters of old understood this. They were not magicians. They were aligned broadcasters. They tuned their signal to a single frequency: wealth, health, love, joy, and held it, not once, not sporadically, but consistently, unwaveringly, and the echo became their reality. This is the practice now placed in your hands. You must become aware of what you are broadcasting, not just when you're meditating, visualizing, or reciting affirmations, but every moment. When you wake up, what's your first thought? When someone disappoints you, what's your internal reaction? When you look at your bank account, what emotion do you emit? These are your true signals. These are your spells. This is what the universe is hearing. If you want life to echo abundance, you must be the signal of abundance, not in words, but in certainty, in emotion, in posture, in breath. So how do you begin? Not by controlling every thought, for that would be madness, but by mastering the state beneath the thoughts, the feeling tone you live in. Because when your dominant vibration shifts, your echo shifts with it. Here is the sacred exercise. Throughout your day, ask yourself not, "What am I thinking?" but, "What am I echoing?" When you walk, do you emit confidence or fear? When you speak, do your words carry the tone of knowing or seeking? When you visualize, are you still secretly hoping, or are you already receiving? Pause, feel, correct. That is the work. You are not here to force reality into shape. You are here to become a tuning fork for the life you desire and allow the law of echo to handle the rest. The echo does not discriminate between wanted and unwanted. It only knows alignment. So align not with what you want, but with who you are in the reality where it is already done. Speak from there. Think from there. Walk, breathe, rest from there. And let the echo catch up. This is why the masters seem to manifest effortlessly. They do not chase results. They maintain state. They guard their frequency. They are loyal to their vibration, not their circumstances. You can do the same. It begins by catching the echoes you are currently receiving. Trace them back to the signal you've been broadcasting. Not to blame yourself, but to free yourself. Because if you caused it, you can change it. If you spoke it, you can re-speak it. If you felt it into being, you can feel something new into existence. You are not a victim of echoes. You are their source. So declare now, with the voice of the awakened, I speak what I wish to see. I vibrate what I choose to live. I am the origin, and the world is my echo. And the universe, listening as always, will say, as you command. Chapter 19. The Energy Signature of Your Voice. There is something ancient that lives in your voice, not in the mechanics of sound or the articulation of words, but in the frequency behind them. You have never merely spoken, you have always vibrated. Every syllable you utter carries with it an energetic signature, a transmission that travels beyond the ears of men into the fabric of the universe itself. Your voice is not just for communication, it is an instrument of creation. Long before language, long before names, there was tone, there was resonance, there was frequency. And it was with these primal, vibrational sounds that the first architects of reality spoke mountains into form, oceans into movement, stars into their celestial dance. They knew what most have forgotten, that the voice is a sacred wand, and every word is a spell cast into the living clay of existence. What makes your voice potent is not how loud you speak, or even what you say, it's who you are when you say it. The energetic imprint behind the words is what the universe receives. A whisper filled with absolute knowing can ripple through dimensions. A scream filled with doubt falls flat. This is why affirmations often fail for those who speak them without inner alignment. You can repeat, "I am wealthy," 1,000 times, but if your body vibrates with scarcity, if your tone carries the timbre of unworthiness, then the quantum field echoes the truth beneath your words, not the words themselves. The universe does not respond to repetition. It responds to coherence. Your voice, when it is aligned with truth, becomes indistinguishable from the voice of the universe. That is the quantum whisper. It is the moment your speech becomes reality's command. It is the harmony between sound and state, between spoken word and inner being. It is the place where language stops being a tool of expression and becomes the law of creation. Consider this: your entire body is a resonant chamber. Your bones, your blood, your cells, they are all vibrating instruments. When you speak from alignment, your whole being becomes an amplifier of intention. It is not just the voice that carries the power. It is the vibration of the speaker. That is why silence is also powerful. When silence is filled with presence, with deep awareness, it too speaks. The sages of old often said nothing because their state was their declaration. But when they did speak, mountains listened and storms obeyed. So, ask yourself, what signature is carried in your voice? When you speak to others, to yourself, to the universe, what energy precedes your words? Do you whisper from fear or speak from wholeness? Do your declarations carry the softness of doubt or the sharp clarity of knowing? This is your sacred task now, not just to speak more, but to speak differently, to infuse every word with presence, to let your voice emerge from the stillness of your being, not the noise of your mind, to become a vessel of vibrational truth. And once you do, the universe will know your voice no as one among billions, but as one with authority, one with frequency, one with source. Now let us explore the sacred practice. Each morning, before you interact with the world, go to a quiet place and close your eyes. Sit upright, place your hands on your heart and your solar plexus, the centers of knowing and will. Breathe deeply. Feel yourself becoming still. Then speak aloud, but not to be heard, speak to be felt. Say, I am the voice of my reality. I speak, and the field listens. I do not hope. I declare. I do not ask. I align. My words are not wishes. They are laws. My voice is sacred. My whisper bends the quantum. As you speak, listen not with your ears, but with your field. Sense the quality of your tone. Is it brittle? Is it strong? Is it shaky? Or does it carry the weight of someone who has remembered their origin? Adjust not the words but the state. Keep repeating the sentence until your voice begins to harmonize with your being, until the tone feels like truth, that feeling is alignment, that frequency is command. That resonance is the secret behind all manifestation. You do not need to raise your voice to raise your vibration. You need only to match your vibration to your voice. When the two become one, the universe responds not with delay but with obedience. The greatest mystics rarely spoke often, but when they did, reality rearranged. They had calibrated their tone to truth. They did not speak of desires, they declared results. They knew the law. Once the voice carries the right signature, the field cannot disobey. So, dear Creator, from now on, speak not casually, speak not out of habit, speak with intent, speak from the center of your being. Let your voice be drenched in conviction, soaked in presence, echoing with sovereignty. When you say, I am, let your body align. When you say, it is done, let your tone close the door to doubt. When you say, I know, let the very cells in your body bow to that knowing. This is the language of reality. This is the quantum whisper, and it lives inside you. Chapter 20. The Reality That Listens. There is a sacred law, older than words and deeper than time. Reality listens. Not in the way a person listens, not through ears or understanding, but through vibration. It listens the way water listens to gravity, the way iron listens to magnetism, the way stars listen to gravity's silent pull across the fabric of space. Reality is always listening, not to your surface noise, but to your true signal. It listens to your being. You are never not broadcasting. Every second, with every breath, you emit a frequency into the quantum field. It is not just what you say, it is what you feel while you speak, what you expect while you think, what you hold as certain even when no words are spoken. This is your signal. This is what reality hears. And this is what it obeys. So many cry out into the void, why doesn't the universe hear me? But the universe is not deaf. It is perfectly tuned to your frequency. The question is not whether it hears you, but whether you are sending the signal you think you are. You say, I want wealth. But your frequency whispers, I'm scared. You affirm, I am love, but your field says, I'm not enough. You shout affirmations in the morning but sigh in despair by night. And the universe, obedient as always, reflects not the words but the state behind the words. This is the great secret. Reality doesn't interpret, it mirrors. It does not judge, it resonates. It cannot be tricked or seduced by beautiful affirmations if your energetic core is laced with contradiction. You don't need to convince reality, you need to become so aligned, so coherent, that your existence itself becomes a command. Let this truth settle into your bones. Your life is the echo of your dominant frequency, and reality, ever listening, is simply playing back the song you've been singing in silence. So, what music are you playing? If you want a different reflection, you must offer a different frequency. Not in moments of effort, but in your default state. You must become the vibration of the life you seek, not through force, but through remembrance. The quantum whisper is not about making reality hear you louder. It's about becoming so still, so present, so clear, that your very presence reshapes the field. Imagine standing in a vast hall with walls made of light. Every sound you make, every feeling you hold, bounces back to you in crystalline clarity. Now imagine that this hall is your life. You do not need to yell. You need only to hum with resonance. And the universe, this mirror of mirrors, sends it back, not delayed, not distorted, but with divine precision. You've seen this before. That time you felt completely certain about something, and it happened. That moment when you just knew the job would come, the person would call, the door would open, and it did. That wasn't luck. That wasn't chance. That was clarity. That was alignment. That was the whisper made real. And so now you must cultivate it deliberately. Each day, when you awaken, ask not, what do I want today? Instead ask, what will I broadcast today? Not as a wish, not as a hope, as a fact, a state, a frequency. Let your field speak first before your voice. Let your energy declare your destiny before you even open your eyes. Speak to reality not as a beggar, but as a composer conducting symphonies of vibration. You are not at the mercy of circumstance. You are its designer. Now, let us enter the sacred practice. Find a quiet moment where your energy is not rushed. Sit or stand in stillness. Close your eyes. Breathe not to relax, but to center. Now feel yourself as a transmitter. You are a tower sending out signals into the field. Do not try to say what you want. Instead, ask yourself, what state am I broadcasting right now? Is it fear? Doubt? Excitement? Sovereignty? Once you become aware of your signal, do not judge it. Simply shift. Not by thinking, but by choosing a new tone. Speak softly. I choose the frequency of certainty. I choose to broadcast ease, abundance, knowing. I do not seek. I send. I do not hope. I hum with the knowing that what I am, reality must reflect. Now hold this vibration, not with tension, but with grace. Let your body settle into this broadcast. Let your skin, your breath, your thoughts all attune to the signal. Let yourself become the music you want reality to play. Remain in this state for several minutes. No effort, just coherence, just presence. Now open your eyes and move through your day as if reality were listening, because it is. With every step, every glance, every word, you are speaking to a field that responds with the precision of divine law. Let your silence say, I am. Let your breath say, it is done. Let your walk say, I know. And let your whisper say, universe, obey. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. This is not magic. This is mechanics. The universe listens because it is you. The reflection listens because it is you. And when your frequency is whole, the response is instant, the manifestation inevitable, and the echo divine. This is the reality that listens, and it has always listened. It is listening now. The question is, what will you say? Chapter 21. The Power of Undeniable Speech. There is a level of speech that cannot be ignored, a tone, a vibration, a resonance that pierces through the noise of the world and enters the command center of the universe itself. This speech is not loud, but it is powerful. It does not argue, but it is absolute. It is not poetic for the sake of beauty, but for the sake of truth. This is the speech of knowing, the language of divinity. And when you speak from this place, when your words are born from the stillness of being, the universe has no choice but to obey. We were taught that speaking our desires was enough, that saying the right affirmation, writing the correct sentence, repeating it 1,000 times, would force reality to bend. But the quantum world does not bend through repetition, it bends through resonance, through the unmistakable signature of truth. Undeniable speech is not about volume, it is about alignment. It is about becoming the frequency before you speak the word. For when the vibration of your being and the words from your mouth are one and the same, the universe moves. Think back on the moments in your life where you knew, not hoped, not believed, but knew that something would happen. Perhaps you said, "This is mine," or "I will be there," or "It's done." And you felt no resistance, no doubt, no contradiction within you. What happened? The universe snapped into place like a lock meeting its key. It did not argue, it aligned. Because you spoke from the field of knowing, not the sea of wanting. Your voice is more than air and sound. It is a current of energy, a vibration that announces your state of being to the infinite intelligence of creation. It is a signal of truth or a signal of distortion. And the universe, in its infinite obedience, reflects whichever one you choose to broadcast. When you whisper from knowing, it thunders across dimensions. When you speak from certainty, the winds shift, the patterns change, the probabilities collapse into form. When you utter a phrase that arises from the core of your infinite self-reality, rearranges around it like stars following a gravitational pull. This is why the masters spoke so little. Their silence was potent, their words were sacred, and when they did speak, mountains moved. So how do you reach this level of speech? You first purify your inner world. You make your words match your state, and if your state is not yet ready, you wait. You become still. You don't speak from fear, or need, or the desperation of a fractured mind. You wait until your words are born from coherence, from clarity, from command. Then, and only then, do you speak. To speak powerfully is to be in alignment with truth, not societal truth, not emotional truth, but universal truth. The truth that you are the field, and what you declare within the field becomes the field. This is the quantum whisper at its highest octave. Let us now enter the sacred practice of undeniable speech. Sit in stillness, your spine tall, your breath steady. Close your eyes and bring to mind one desire. Just one. Now ask yourself, have I truly claimed this? Or am I still hoping for it? If even a sliver of doubt remains, do not speak yet. Wait, settle, breathe into your body, and release every ounce of resistance. Now feel the desire as already done. Let your mind stop chasing. Let your body relax into the outcome. Let your nervous system unwind into the knowing. And only when you feel that stillness, that peace, that click, speak. Softly, calmly, fully. Say, "It is done." Say, This is mine. Say, I do not wish, I declare. Let the words rise not from your throat, but from the center of your being, from the place beneath all wanting, where your true power rests. Now repeat the phrase again, not because you are trying to believe it, but because it is now the natural expression of your state. This is not about emotion. This is not about hype. This is about truth. Your words are not convincing the universe, they are commanding it. And you only need to say it once. That is the power of undeniable speech. After the sacred phrase is spoken, return to silence. Do not scramble. Do not explain. Simply carry yourself through the day as if the echo of your command is still rippling through the quantum field, because it is. You have spoken. The universe heard. There is nothing more to do. Now walk in that vibration. Maintain it not through effort, but through remembrance. When doubt creeps in, and it will, do not panic. Return to stillness. Realign your state. And if necessary, speak again, not from fear this time, but from reattuned authority. This chapter is not a metaphor. It is mechanics. It is blueprint. When you speak from misalignment, the signal is distorted. When you speak from alignment, the signal is divine. And the divine signal is undeniable. You do not need to raise your voice. You only need to lower your resistance. You do not need to prove your power. You only need to embody it. The voice of a true creator is not desperate. It is certain, and it is subtle, like the wind that moves trees, like the tide that moves oceans. Soft, steady, and unstoppable. Let your speech become sacred again. Let your voice become the wand that moves reality with the elegance of a whisper. Let your words flow from truth, not need. And when you speak, speak not to the universe, but as the universe. For in truth, that's what you are. You are the breath that shaped the stars, the word that became form, the silence that became sound. Speak and the universe obeys. Chapter 22. The Mirror Principle. What you are, you speak into form. The universe is not a judge, nor is it a benefactor. It is a mirror, a flawless, absolute, impartial reflector of all that you hold within. It does not react, it reflects. And this is the secret that slips through the fingers of many seekers. What you truly are is what you speak into form. Not what you pretend to be, not what you wish to be, not what you script with hopeful lips, but what you are in your deepest core. When you stand before a mirror and smile, it does not smile because you asked it to. It smiles because you did first. The reflection is automatic, precise, and immediate. This is how the quantum field responds. Your inner state is the original. Your external world is the echo. Your vibration is the cause, and your reality is the exact mirrored response. The whisper does not become powerful by volume or repetition. It becomes divine when it is spoken from being. When the words you speak are already true in your vibration, reality has no choice but to conform. And so, the key is not to fix your world, it is to refine your essence. There is a quiet truth that every master eventually realizes. The universe has no agenda of its own. It does not care what you want, what you think, what you hope for. It responds to what you are. You can scream abundance 1,000 times, but if your energy is lack, the echo will return empty. You can whisper healing once, but if your body is already vibrating in wholeness, the mirror will respond immediately. This is the mirror principle. It means your outer world is never the cause of your feelings. It is always the consequence of your frequency. Your finances, your health, your relationships, they are not things you attract. They are mirrors that report back the signal you emit. This is not meant to be cruel, it is meant to be clarifying. Because once you realize that the outer world is a printout of your inner code, you stop trying to fix the screen and, instead, you edit the source file. And the source is you. When you say, "I am rich," does it vibrate as truth in your bones, or does your body flinch slightly in doubt? When you declare, "I am loved," do you feel warmth in your chest or a hollow echo in your heart? This is the work not to lie louder to the universe, but to dissolve the lies you hold within yourself, to shift the root, not the branches, to refine your frequency until your whispers become natural reflections of your state, not desperate affirmations clawing against your current identity. Here is what the masters knew. Speak only from wholeness, act only from fullness. Declare only what already exists in your being. And if you're not there yet, don't force it, instead, become it. The process is not to convince the world of what you want, but to become the world from which what you want must emerge. This is not about changing the mirror, but about becoming the image you wish to see reflected. Let us now enter the sacred practice of frequency refinement. Sit in complete stillness. Feel the weight of your body supported by the chair or the floor beneath you. This is the first mirror. Your physical body reflects your current energetic stance. Notice it. Don't judge it. Just feel what your posture says about your identity. Now choose a desire, not a massive goal, but something intimate, personal, and real. Let's say it is love. Ask yourself, if I were already love, what would my shoulders feel like? What would my breathing do? How would I speak not just to others, but to myself? Now become that. Let your spine lift slightly. Let your breath slow and deepen. Let your energy soften, as if love were already radiating from every cell. Don't force a mantra. Just embody the truth of love. Become the Sorsano, the seeker. And now, from this space, speak. I am love. Just once. No repetition needed. The universe heard you. The mirror is now bending. And if the mirror doesn't reflect immediately, it's not because it failed, it's because your image wasn't steady yet. Hold the frequency longer. Walk with it. Let your life be a silent declaration before it becomes a loud one. Let your energy write the affirmation before your lips do. Because once your being sings it, you won't need to convince anything. Reality will simply reflect what you already are. The quantum whisper is not a tool for desperate longing, it is the song of already becoming, of alignment so true that even the stars rearrange their dance to match your vibration. You are not here to convince the mirror. You are here to become the reflection you desire. Let your inner state be so luminous, so resolved, that your whisper becomes prophecy. Let your certainty be so anchored that even if nothing appears to change outside you, remain unwavering within. Because the mirror never lies. And neither does the universe. If it has not reflected yet, do not panic. Refine your vibration. That's all. When the alignment is true, the echo is instant. So next time you whisper to the universe, do not ask, do not hope, do not chase, simply speak as the one who has already become. The mirror will respond. Chapter 23, Speaking in Frequency. The language the universe understands. Words, on their own, are powerless. The universe does not hear syllables, it hears frequency. It does not respond to grammar or eloquence, it responds to vibration. The quantum field does not obey what you say. It obeys the energy behind what you say. This is why the same affirmation said by two different people produces two different results. It's not the script, it's the signal. It's not the phrase, it's the frequency that wraps around it. Imagine this. Two people whisper, I am wealthy. One speaks from embodiment, from inner fullness, from a place so aligned with prosperity that their very cells hum in harmony with abundance. The other speaks from fear, from hope, from lack disguised as positive thinking. The words are identical, but the universe hears two completely different commands. You see, there is a sacred language beneath language, a current, a vibration that speaks before your lips do. It is your true voice. It is your tone of being, and it cannot be faked. This is the real law of manifestation. Speak from the vibration of the end result, and the universe must conform. Speak from need, and it will echo that need right back to you. This is why many feel frustrated in the world of creation. They have learned the scripts, memorized the affirmations, watched the videos, read the books, but something still doesn't click. They are speaking the right words, but emitting the wrong signal. They are trying to talk the universe into changing, while their core remains unchanged. To speak in frequency means to embody your truth before you express it. It means your declaration is not a request, it is a report, a reflection, a quiet announcement of what already exists within. When you say, "It is done," the vibration behind those words must be identical to what it feels like when it truly is done. Not imagined, not rehearsed, not hoped for, but felt completely. The universe has no ears, it has resonance. It is like a great tuning fork that vibrates in response to your own. If your tone matches the frequency of the life you desire, then you become magnetic. That life begins to orbit around you, effortlessly, as if called by an unseen law. Think of this. You do not need to scream at the radio to change the station. You do not need to plead with it. You simply turn the dial. You tune the frequency. And instantly, the music changes. So it is with reality. The quantum whisper is not a shout. It is a subtle adjustment. A shift in the dial of your being. A quiet, steady hum that says, "This is who I am now." But how do you speak in frequency? It begins not with your words, but with your awareness. Your awareness of how things feel beneath the surface. Start listening not to what you say, but to how your body reacts when you say it. Say, "I am powerful." Does your spine straighten or shrink? Say, "I am loved." Do your shoulders relax or tighten? These micro signals reveal your true frequency, and they never lie. You can train yourself to speak in aligned frequency the way a singer trains their voice to hold a note so precisely that it harmonizes with the universe itself. This is vibrational mastery. This is the sacred art. Let us now enter the practice of vibrational speaking. Find a quiet space. Breathe slowly. Close your eyes and place a hand on your chest and another on your stomach. Feel your breath rising and falling. Choose a simple phrase that reflects a desire. Perhaps, "I am healed." Now whisper it softly. But do not rush. First, feel the vibration that sentence would carry if it were already your reality. What does healed feel like? Let that feeling rise. Now speak. Whisper the words again, this time letting them ride the wave of the vibration you just summoned. Let the phrase carry the texture of truth. Let your breath release the sentence like it's already happened. Speak it once, then sit in stillness. This is not repetition. This is resonance. This is not about how often you affirm, but how honestly you align. One sentence, spoken from the depth of being, is worth more than 1,000 recitations spoken from doubt. Do this with each of your desires. Train your voice to match the vibration of your vision. Practice until your very presence speaks what your mouth need not. Because when you are the frequency, your life will speak for you. You will not need to chase. Reality will begin adjusting in subtle ways. People will respond to you differently, Opportunities will feel magnetized to your steps. This is not magic. This is mechanics. You have tuned your field, and the field has no choice but to rearrange itself. This is the real law. This is the whisper behind manifestation. It is not about doing more, it is about vibrating differently. Not begging the universe, but becoming the version of you who no longer needs to ask. Speak only from that place. And if you are not there yet, do not panic. Simply close your eyes. Go within. Cultivate the state. And then speak again, not to convince, but to confirm. You are the signal. Your life is the speaker. And the universe is listening. Chapter 24. The Return to Your Divine Command. Becoming the Voice of the Universe. At the center of your being lies something older than time. It does not speak in language. It does not move with fear. It does not ask for permission. It commands. It whispers with the full force of stars. And when you rediscover it, when you return to it, everything in your world begins to bend, rearrange, and yield to your vibration. This is not fantasy. This is the end of seeking and the beginning of becoming. All throughout your life, you've been taught that power exists somewhere outside of you, that results must be earned, that change must be waited for, that desire must be justified. But none of this is true. These are borrowed beliefs, programmed patterns, residue from a world that thrives on disempowerment. The truth is that your voice, the one hidden beneath the noise, is not a suggestion to the universe. It is the universe. When you speak from the highest seat within, you are not expressing a preference. You are issuing a decree, and creation must obey not because of what you say, but because of who is saying it. The true voice does not speak from the identity of the person who wants. It speaks from the identity of the self that already is. It does not hope. It does not reach. It remembers. You may have glimpsed this voice in rare moments when time seemed to stop, when clarity burned through all confusion, when you knew without knowing how. These are the moments when your mask slipped and your real self took the throne. Not the version of you trying to manifest, but the version of you who is manifestation itself, the source wrapped in skin. The quantum whisper is not a technique. It is not a trick. It is a reintroduction to this eternal self, the one who never begs, never doubts, never waits. The one who breathes truth into reality. And when you live from that place, your life begins to organize itself around your word as if it were gravity. Imagine no longer wondering if something will happen. Imagine no longer searching for signs. Imagine speaking a word and knowing it is already done, not in theory, but in the bones of your being. This is the divine command. This is not about control. This is not about ego. This is about sacred authority, the kind that doesn't overpower but simply is. A mountain doesn't scream to be noticed. It just stands, and the world must navigate around it. So too does your true self. Silent, still, certain. So how do you return to this command? You begin by unlearning, by peeling away every layer of identity that tells you you are powerless. Every narrative that has convinced you to ask instead of proclaim. Every moment you've traded certainty for strategy, knowing for noise. You strip down to silence until you meet the voice that speaks not in panic, but in peace. It does not demand, it declares. Practice now, not to become powerful, but to remember that you already are. Sit with a desire not as a problem, not as a future outcome, but as a current reality held in timelessness. Whisper to it, not from longing, but from ownership. You are mine. You are me. You have always been. Let these words rise from your belly, not your mind. Let your tone come not from emotion, but from embodiment. Speak them once, then stop. Let the echo ripple out into creation like a stone dropped in still water. This is sacred stillness. This is vibrational clarity. You don't need to repeat what the universe already knows. You don't need to convince what already belongs to you. You only need to speak from the place that remembers. This chapter is the bridge between illusion and embodiment. It is the passage from desiring to declaring, from practicing to being. The true whisper does not beg reality, it informs reality. It does not ask, "Will you?" It states, "It is." You were never meant to plead. You were born to proclaim. And every time you whisper from the throne of your certainty, reality reshapes itself to mirror your tone. Not because you forced it, but because you aligned with it. Not because you hoped, but because you knew. You are the voice of Source. You are the echo of infinity. And as you speak not from fear, but from fullness, the universe leans in, listens, and rearranges itself accordingly. There is only one question left. Are you ready to sit on the throne of your own being? Because once you do, once you claim your place as the speaker of reality, nothing will ever feel the same again. This chapter was your return. The next is your rise. Chapter 25. The silence that commands all things, where the whisper becomes law. There comes a moment when the seeker no longer seeks, when the voice that once whispered with doubt now vibrates with divine silence, and when the final question fads not because it was answered, but because it was never necessary. You have reached that place. The place beyond wishing, beyond words, beyond even whispering. Here, you do not ask the universe to respond. You realize you are the universe speaking itself into form. The journey through these chapters has not been a climb up a mountain, it has been a descent into the deepest core of your being. Every technique, every visualization, every manifestation practice was never meant to give you power. It was designed to return you to the one who never lost it. The sacred self, the silent speaker. The one who does not cast spells, but is the spell. The one who does not manifest, but breathes sand by breathing. Worlds are born. We have traveled through quantum certainty. We have explored the reality behind effortlessness, the language of the cosmos, the law that overrides all others. But now, as you stand on the edge of completion, you must know the truth. There is a frequency so high, so subtle, so still, that it cannot be heard, but it shapes everything. It is not your loudest thought. It is your most aligned presence. This is the sacred silence. Not emptiness, not void, but the still hum of pure creative authority. In this state, you no longer speak from the ego that desires. You speak from the void that knows. You do not tell the universe what you want. You radiate the frequency of it already being done. There is no effort, no strategy, no bargaining, only stillness, only breath, only truth. It is said in the most ancient mystery schools that the greatest power is not found in words, but in the pause between them. The gods did not shout creation into existence. They whispered it in perfect stillness. And in that stillness, reality bent, light formed, and matter obeyed. This is the art of divine alignment. When your presence becomes so whole, so unshakable, that the entire matrix of reality organizes itself around your being. And now so must you. There is nothing more to chase. There is nothing more to fix. There is only the soft, sovereign return to being. Do not confuse this silence with passivity. It is not stillness because of defeat, it is stillness because of dominion. The lion does not roar every second to prove its power. It simply walks, and all who see it know. The sun does not argue with the darkness. It shows up and the shadows disappear. You are no longer here to prove yourself to life. You are here to remember that life has always been yours to direct. So sit now in the cathedral of your own body. Feel the vastness of your presence fill the space around you. Breathe not as one hoping for change, but as one who is the origin of it. Speak not from need, but from nature. Declare without words, and allow the universe to conform not because you asked, but because it is written into the contract of your being. You do not need to shout to be heard in the realm of spirit. You only need to whisper with alignment. And if your whisper is true, the universe will not just hear you, it will rearrange itself to make room for you. That is the quantum whisper. That is the sacred return. You were not born to be a servant to fate. You were born to be the frequency that fate obeys. This final chapter is not an ending. It is the soft echo of your new beginning. It is not a conclusion. It is an initiation into the rarest form of mastery, the kind that no longer tries, no longer reaches, no longer doubts. You walk as the command. You breathe as the answer. You are the law. Let the world adjust to your alignment, not the other way around. Because when you speak now, it is no longer a question, it is a decree. And the universe always listens. Thank you for listening to The Quantum Whisper. Speak, the universe obeys. If these words awaken something sacred in you, if you now feel the truth humming through your bones, then share this gift. Let others remember what they are. And above all, live what you now know. Speak, command, become. Like, share, and subscribe if this audiobook transformed you. Your voice shapes the universe, and your next whisper could change everything.